So I'll tell you Maisa. Visit Shemagid and many Chassidim, many Talmidim. Two of some of his greatest were the Rebbe of Zusha, the famous brother of the Rebbe Melech, and the Rebbe Shmelka of Nikolsburg. Now these two Tzadikim, Rebbe Zusha and Rebbe Shmelka, they're both students of the Magid, both Tzadikim, but very different. Rebbe Shmelka was known and very famous as not just a Tzadik, but as a huge Talmud Chacham. He eventually settled in Nikolsburg and was one of the greatest Rabbanim and Rosh Hashivas of the generation. So that's how he was known. On the other hand, Rebbe Zusha was not known for being the biggest Talmud Chacham and Rosh Hashiva. That was not his avodah, even though he was, the Baal Tanya famously used to refer to Rebbe Zusha as the Sahara Torah, the master of Torah. But on the outside, he didn't go like that. And he was known for his avodah and for his unbelievable davening and his humility. Very different personalities. So one time happened that it's a question of who initiated the conversation. But one time happened that the following conversation took place between the two of them. That Rebbe Shmelka and Rebbe Zusha wanted to make a partnership. The deal was that Rebbe Shmelka would teach Rebbe Zusha Nigla, Halacha, Gemara, and Rebbe Zusha would teach Rebbe Shmelka Kabbalah. That's how that was the deal. Okay, so the Chavrusa Shav started in the following way. So Rebbe Shmelka tells Rebbe Zusha, fine, so we'll start. I'll teach you Nigla, and then you'll teach me Nister. So he asks Rebbe Zusha, so what do you want to learn? What Masechta, what Gemara, whatever. So Rebbe Zusha says like this. Rebbe Zusha used to refer to himself in the third person. So he says, Zusha is a grav amarz. Zusha doesn't know anything. So we have to start from the beginning. You have to start, teach me Mishnayos, Meseches Brachos. From the beginning, Zusha doesn't know anything. Okay. So Shmelka takes out the, Mishnayos, Meseches Brachos. And the first Mishnah begins, Me'emes Saikaran Shema Ba'arvis. And Shmelka teaches for Zusha in Yiddish, every single word. Me'emes from when? Karan Shema, do we read Kriya Shema? Ba'arvis at night. In other words, when does the beginning of the mitzvah of saying Kriya Shema at night, when does it start? So that's how he teaches it. That's the reading of the Mishnah. Rebbe Zusha hears this, and Rebbe Zusha says, Rebbe Shmelka, how do you know if that's the taich? So Rebbe Shmelka says, what do you mean? So he says, maybe you can read it differently. He says, what do you mean, Rebbe Zusha? So he says, maybe you can read it like this. Me'emasai. The word ema comes from, the word ema means fear. So he says, maybe this is the taich. Me'emasai, from the fear of Hashem's presence, Karan Shema, you read Kriya Shema Ba'arvis at night. And so Shmelka looks at him, and Rebbe Zusha repeats over and over again, to say Kriya Shema at night, mamish, with such aim and year, with such fear and awe, with such overwhelming sense of Hashem's presence. And Rebbe Zusha kept on saying this over and over again to the point of where he got into the dveikis, which he usually got into. And Rebbe Shmelka said, okay, listen. That was the end of the Chavrusa Shav. So it's an innocent, cute little story. But if you think about it, it's such a wondrous thing. Because Kriya Shema at night versus Kriya Shema during the day. Aim of fear comes from a revelation of Hashem's presence. And so you would think that that to read Kriya Shema with awe and fear, that would be more associated with Kriya Shema of the day. But Rebbe Zusha is revealing to us a great secret, which is even Kriya Shema at night, which always is a metaphor for a time of God's concealment and Hester upon him. What Rebbe Zusha is telling us is, even at a time of concealment, a person has to recognize that the concealment itself is also Hashem revealing himself. It's also Hashem talking. Sometimes Hashem talks to us in an open, revealed way, and sometimes He communicates through concealment. But concealment is not hiding Hashem. Concealment is another way in which Hashem reveals Himself. So just as whenever there's a revelation of Hashem, it's with aim and year, it's with awe and fear. Said Rebbe Zusha, me'emasai, from that same awe and fear, Karan Shema Ba'arvis, you can say Kriya Shema even at night. And that's the avodah of this time of the 3 weeks. The avodah of the 3 weeks is to recognize that not only is Hashem behind the scenes of concealment, concealment itself is also from Hashem. It's also a way which Hashem communicates and reveals Himself. So like Rebbe Zusha was telling us, me'emasai Karan Shema Ba'arvis. Hashem should bless us that this week all the concealment that has existed throughout the Golas should be transformed and revealed for what it truly always was and always is, which is Hashem's revelation. We should be able to see only Shefa Bracha and Hatzlacha ad bli dai through that. Be as close as Barachim and Meir V'Meinu Amen.